I know this podcast happened a minute ago, but I need to talk about it since this Diddy situation is the hottest tea on the block right now. So, Candace Owens dropped some serious tea on her podcast about Puffy. In her podcast episode from about a month ago, Candace Owens delved into the legal troubles surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, expressing concern about what she perceives as a troubling lack of media attention. Owens' commentary sparked significant reactions on social media, questioning why Diddy's lawsuit has not received the same level of scrutiny as the widely covered Jeffrey Epstein case. She suggested that there might be a darker reason behind this selective media coverage, hinting at the possibility that influential individuals in both Hollywood and politics are being blackmailed, which could explain their silence on certain issues. Owens went further, connecting the dots to propose that the person who allegedly helped cover up Diddy's son's involvement in a shooting was once Michael Jackson's chief of security and was present during the pop star's untimely death. She speculated that extreme measures, including possible murder, might have been taken to protect those implicated. She also discussed the shocking allegations from Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie, who filed a federal lawsuit accusing him of years of abuse, including rape and physical assault, as well as blowing up another artist's car. Kid Cudi confirmed that his car was indeed blown up, adding weight to Cassie's claims. Despite these serious allegations, Diddy settled quickly, which Owens finds suspicious.
Oh my gosh, where do we begin? All right, well, he's changed his name many times over the years. You might know him as Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, P. Diddy, or just Diddy, the D, the I, the D, the D, the Y. Okay, well, there have always been rumors, and quite frankly, I always thought that they were conspiracies because they sounded crazy. First and foremost, rumors that he was gay. Also rumors that he was behind the killing of his quote-unquote best friend, the notorious B.I.G., and also that he had something to do with the killing of Tupac. Well, last year, things got interesting because Combs' ex, her name was Cassandra, she went by Cassie, and she filed a federal lawsuit against him in New York alleging years of assaults. Now, again, they dated for like more than 10 years, so she obviously was very close to him and knew his lifestyle. Her lawsuit contained graphic allegations that he raped her in 2018, that he physically abused her, that he intimidated her, that he made her have sex with male escorts while he watched. The lawsuit also alleged that he blew up another artist's car, his name was Kid Cudi, in order to stop him from seeing Cassie romantically when him and Cassie split up. I mean, again, all of this sounds insane if it's true. Well, Kid Cudi thought the accusations were true. He said, yes, that is factually what happened. But of course, Diddy denied those allegations. And he instead came out and said that Cassie was simply trying to blackmail him for $30 million. And by the way, that is plausible, right? We've seen tons of those instances, especially in the era of Me Too. But this one felt a little different because we're like, okay, but she's known you for a very long time. And these allegations are quite weird. But we never got a follow-up there because then he very quickly settled with her for an undisclosed amount. And then even more women started coming out saying they were victims of Diddy. And then it seemed like an avalanche, and he issued a very strong statement condemning them for essentially extortion attempts and trying to murky his name. So again, you don't know what's real, you don't know what's not, until this recent lawsuit. And this one's different, guys. A man named Rodney Jones has come forward to sue Diddy. And this is not your average lawsuit. I will say right now, many lawsuits are in fact frivolous. I have fought and won frivolous lawsuits. This person, however, his name is Rodney Jones. He lived, traveled, and he worked with Diddy as a producer. And he is alleging that he has hours upon hours of recorded footage and pictorial evidence, which has been included in this document, to support his claims. And I have to say, these claims seem very credible.
In another bombshell, Owens mentioned a lawsuit from Diddy's former producer, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who claims to have extensive evidence of sexual misconduct and other abuses. Jones alleges that Diddy repeatedly groped him, attempted to groom him into a homosexual relationship, and maintained a culture of drug use and sexual exploitation in his homes. Jones's lawsuit also implicates Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam, in facilitating these activities.
Now, to be clear, Rodney also goes by Lil Rod. is suing Diddy and others, we're going to get to who those others are, for $30 million, claiming that he was subjected to sexual misconduct for the duration of the production process of an album. It is a 70-page lawsuit. It has been filed in the Southern District of New York. And he is claiming that while working on the album and living with Combs in New York, California, Florida, other locations, that Diddy repeatedly groped him, touching his, I'm sorry to say this, guys, his anus and his crotch without consent, and attempting to groom him into accepting a homosexual relationship by showing him explicit videos of others in Hollywood. Yes, they have named other artists, claiming that homosexuality was a normal practice in the music industry. He's also claiming that Diddy would walk around the house naked and force him to watch him shower, and is alleging that he went forward and told Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam, about this. And Christina came back to him and said, well, you know, Sean will just be Sean. So we're going to go through some of these explosive claims. Again, right at the top, I'm going to make it clear so that I don't get sued that these are all allegations. Everything that I'm going to say after this is an allegation that is being claimed by Rodney in this lawsuit document, which we will include as a link for you guys if you're watching this on YouTube. So let's go through the big claims. Ready? Number one, this is perhaps the biggest claim, is that Diddy and his son murdered someone in plain daylight and got away with it. That there's apparently a man that they know, that everyone who works with Diddy knows, that they can call and they essentially will get everything cleaned up. And they are implicating the LAPD in this madness because they produced fake reports. And he's got some real good evidence to back up these claims. He says that one evening during a camp that they were running with several musicians, Mr. Combs and Jay Combs were in a heated conversation with somebody named G. And while this conversation was moved out of the studio and into a restroom that was adjacent to where Jones was sitting, he heard approximately 2 feet away from him again, Mr. Jones is the producer that's suing him, gunshots suddenly ringing out. He recalls hearing multiple gunshots. Mr. Jones immediately went into a state of shock and fear that he would be shot next. He genuinely believed that he would be shot through the door due to how close he was. After the shooting ended, a crowd gathered around the restroom. When the door finally opened, Mr. Combs and his son exited. G was lying on the restroom floor in a fetal position, holding his stomach and bleeding out of his leg and his hip area. Everyone stood around and looked up at him. Frustrated by the lack of aid that was being provided, Mr. Jones, the producer that's suing again, dropped everything, ran to the guy, and immediately began placing pressure. As he was applying pressure on his stomach, he realized that G was gushing blood from another area. He decided to lift G up and place him to sit on the toilet, and he asked the crowd to call the ambulance. Now, here is what is interesting. The ambulance does arrive, and Mr. Combs, according to Mr. Jones, Diddy gives strict instructions to inform the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He also forced the producer to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot while standing outside of the studio. And the police just believed this, despite the overwhelming evidence that this shooting did not take place outside of the studio and that it instead took place inside near the bathroom. He includes in his lawsuit this photo of the bathroom and we are blurring it here, of the blood in that bathroom. And then it is stunning because he also shows how the media then reported it. Right? A fake police report was produced, and then fake headlines were the result. This is CBS News. Man shot outside party at Hollywood recording studio. The key word there is outside. How on earth could the LAPD be implicated in lying? Well, he alleges that there is an individual, again, that they know that they can call to clean up any types of murders, and that individual will make sure the right officers write down the fake police reports and that those are then fed to the media to cover up murder. Not just now the Diddy lawsuit, it's not just now Michael Jackson. We also have seen these claims with Kanye West, notoriously, obviously, when he tweeted out, "I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on some Jews," and the media freaked out and people in the Jewish community were understandably very scared, not knowing what he meant. And I very much abstained from speaking much about the issue because people were so emotional that people couldn't hear, even if I had shared. And even when Kanye did share that he was speaking about specific people in Hollywood that he believed were coming after him and were trying to control him. He actually named some of those individuals. He shared personal text messages of a friend of his, a personal trainer to the stars, who again happens to be Jewish, who was threatening to put him in the hospital and to drug him against his will. Harley Pasternak is his name, and the media barely reported on those text messages that he shared publicly because obviously he was enemy number one. And here's what else I will tell you. When that Kanye situation went down, I was being threatened by a person named Rabbi Shmuley, person that Michael Jackson put on his enemy list, a person that I had never heard of, was threatening me and saying that unless I came out and said things explicitly against Kanye, he would effectively ruin my life. He said that he would take out a front page ad and smear me as an anti-Semite. And it wasn't just him, it was also his daughter. They were messaging me saying, don't mess with Jews. Very bizarre stuff, and they have not stopped, to be clear. And him and his daughter have consistently pulled clips from this show, taken them out of context, and tried to convince Jewish people that I hate them.
Candace Owens is...
She also seems to think the P. Diddy scandals are connected to Michael Jackson beyond their shared pedophilia and organized crimes against minors, too.
The second big explosive thing that came from this document are the allegations that Diddy hosts freak-offs, essentially sexual events to procure blackmail on other people in the industry. That they all come and they have these drug-fused parties with underage boys, with underage girls. And throughout this lawsuit, he names multiple current rappers that have been involved in these parties and are therefore existing under blackmail, right? So if you can suddenly record somebody and they're hooking up with a person that is underage, if you're doing drugs and Diddy has cameras on it, well then Diddy owns you. Which leads me to think, what even is gangster rap? It's a question that I have been asking a lot. It seems to me that there is something intentional, that they are intentionally feeding us filth via the media. And I wonder if a lot of these artists are existing within this blackmail ring. And also, where have we heard this before? Oh, yes, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, who was bizarrely protected. He was clearly an asset of not just the CIA, but also potentially the Mossad, very much involved with the Mossad over in Israel. And he, too, had so much access, so much wealth, and he got away with it for years, procuring what very clearly is blackmail on politicians. So what we are recognizing is that this ring also exists within Hollywood. Explosive allegation number 3 was that there's even a Ghislaine Maxwell, so to speak, a madame, and that is the other woman that is listed in this lawsuit. His chief of staff, Christina Karam. I don't know how journalists aren't interested in figuring out who this woman is. Her job, as alleged in this lawsuit, was to keep Diddy high. I'm going to tell you what this lawsuit says explicitly about her. According to Mr. Jones, during the 13 months he lived and traveled with Diddy, he witnessed defendant Karam openly order her assistants to keep Mr. Combs high off of gummies and pills. Defendant Karam required all employees, from the butler, the chef, to the housekeepers, to walk around with a pouch or a fanny pack filled with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and Tukey. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's a pink drug that is a combination of ecstasy and cocaine. It was important to the defendant Karam to have Mr. Combs' drug of choice immediately ready whenever he asked for it. She also ordered, allegedly, sex workers and prostitutes for Mr. Combs, and would order the distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms to Mr. Combs and his celebrity guests who were present on his rented yacht and in his homes throughout LA, New York City, and Miami. And he alleges that he was also forced to keep that drug in a pouch on him at all times against his will. Again, this is explosive. He even lists everybody in the ring. He says that it is his Diddy's son, Justin, that solicits the prostitutes and the underage girls and the sex workers, allegedly, for these freak-offs. He also lists Stevie J, who recruits the sex workers and attends and participates in the freak-offs, and another young man named Brendan Paul, who works as Mr. Combs' mule. He acquires and distributes all of the drugs and the guns. Again, we won't have time to go through everything in this document, but I encourage you guys to read it because it is stunning. And yes, Christina Karam apparently even instructs them to mix those drugs into the liquor when these women are invited over. So why is the media not interested in this story? Well, here is explosive allegation number 4 coming from this lawsuit. That the person who sits at the top of this ring potentially is Sir Lucian Grange. He is the CEO of Universal Music Group. He is also being sued. He has also been named as well as Universal Music Group. And he is, as a fact, one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. He runs, again, Universal Music Group, which is huge. Well, Rodney, the producer, is alleging that when Lucian would visit Diddy's house, the two of them would go into Diddy's bedroom and be locked up in there for hours. What does that mean? What are we supposed to think of that? By the way, I looked into Lucian, obviously, because I was fascinated by this document, and I find it really bizarre that he completely changed his name. He used to be Michael G., the son of Cecil G., who was a huge tailor in London. I found that in this old article, The Guardian. The headline is "Forgotten and Overlooked: How Jewish Designers Dressed the Beatles and Changed Global Fashion." And in this article, there's a picture of Lucian. He was then, again, Michael G. He's sitting with his father, Cecil G. And it's just bizarre that also his father changed his name. In the article, it tells you that his father used to be Sasha Goldstein. So Sasha Goldstein became Cecil G., who gave birth to Michael G., who is now Lucian Grange. I mean, totally bizarre rabbit hole if you guys want to look into it. I just thought it was weird. I did a cursory search and found all of that. Perhaps most crucial, though, in the lawsuit is that unbeknownst to Lucian, Diddy also has a ton of hidden cameras all throughout his house, including in his bedroom, which would perhaps suggest that the blackmail runs both ways. Maybe he also has blackmail on Lucian Grange. Again, I don't know. I'm just telling you what's in this lawsuit and what we can derive from it.
Owens went full conspiracy theory, comparing Diddy to Jeffrey Epstein, saying they both got their blackmail game on lock. She even hinted Diddy might have had a hand in Michael Jackson's death. Like, hold up, did Diddy just remix the King of Pop's demise? Owens is saying there's a whole cabal of Hollywood bigwigs and politicians being blackmailed into silence. She also discussed the shocking allegations from Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie, who filed a federal lawsuit accusing him of years of abuse, including rape and physical assault, as well as blowing up another artist's car. Kid Cudi confirmed that his car was indeed blown up, adding weight to Cassie's claims. Despite these serious allegations, Diddy settled quickly, which Owens finds suspicious. The gravity of these allegations, if true, would make this case potentially more significant than Epstein's, yet the media remains largely silent. Owens implies this silence could be due to the immense power and influence wielded by those involved, which might include elements of the entertainment industry and law enforcement. I don't think he has that much control. I think Candace needs to dig deeper. Think Clive Davis, Lucian Grange, and other Jewish elitists of the cabal. They are all working together. Diddy doesn't have that much power, and it's clear now, because we are witnessing a typical humiliation ritual. Diddy pissed off his masters. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep questioning, keep sharing, and keep supporting each other. This is Maya. Stay dangerous.